to talk about some of the entrepreneurial elements of it. So who am I and why on earth am I standing here? Well, I've been a journalist for over 30 years and I've been in the industry for the same amount of time. I'm a multidisciplinary media and marketing specialist, and what that means is I have ADHD and have to do everything, essentially. So I am like a GP in the media and marketing industry. I've done a little bit of everything. And so when AI really hit the market big time last year, or sorry, not last year, yeah, 2023, I was kind of like, oh, here we go again. I'd already tried it before, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. So Excalibur Press is my company. We are a media and marketing company. We're a multidisciplinary agency, and we are probably one of the only agencies here in Northern Ireland that are hands up, admitting we use AI, we absolutely love it, and our clients are benefiting from it. Not everybody is willing to do that. And I think actually if you're not willing to admit it, you're not being fair on your clients. You're not being fair on the people around you. These are our brands. Excalibur Press is our main brand. We have a number of media brands. We've got our CIC, which is all about getting people into the world of writing. And then Nimue is our tech platform that we're in the embryonic stages of. So please do connect with us. So let's talk about this ever-changing world of AI. You know, as I said, it's one of those things that people talk about it and we've dabbled a little and we've gone on and we've asked it all the questions. But what does it actually mean for us? I was really, really afraid of it. Really afraid, because I thought, that's it, I'm done. All of this special stuff about me, I thought the AI was going to come and take. But actually, it just made me better. It made me so much better. So what is it? It enables us to quickly generate new content, and the inputs and outputs can be everything from text, images, sound, you name it. But we know all of that. And Charlie's not a bad spud. If you're going to add a tool that is going to be used every single day, let's just make it a new employee. So we actually do talk about Charlie as an employee. And when we talk to each other, we'll say, what did Charlie think? Did you ask Charlie? Because sometimes when you're that little bit stuck, it's one of those things, it's just really easy. Instead of going, have you put it into AI to see what happens? We just talk about Charlie and everybody knows. And when we talk to our clients, we go, well, I don't have time now, but I can ask Charlie if you want. And they're cool with that. The problem is always going to be the input. And that's where most people really, really struggle, because most people have used it gone and gone, give me 10 social media posts about coffee cups. And they think it's amazing. They're like, wow, this is class. But if you've seen how my staff use it and what they get out of it, my goodness. And it's because they've taken the time to learn. So being an entrepreneur is really hard. It's really lonely. There's usually not enough hours in the day. And that's why we need to use these tools. We need to embrace them. It's time to stand up and think, how can I use tools to make me a better entrepreneur? How can I actually use these tools to allow me to do the thing that I love the most? I don't actually love the crap part of writing and strategy and all that, having to figure stuff out. I love the higher level bit and I love the writing. See all this bit in the middle? I hate it. Charlie loves it. So who is Charlie? He's the intern you really, really want, the mentor you wish you had, a half-decent research tool. Actually, there's an example. I was on my way to a meeting. Somebody couldn't come with me, and I was like, oh, that was a technical person. So what I did was I put it into Charlie on the way in, and got basically the clip notes of what it was I was going to be talking about. And what I was able to do then was go into that client with a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of information about the jargon that they were going to use. And I was able to actually hold that meeting really, really well and then take the conversation back to the technical person. And that was like 5 minutes in a taxi. Someone to brainstorm with. So my other half said to me earlier this year, he's like, he's autistic and I've got ADHD. You can imagine what our house is like. And he said, I cannot believe that you have found someone to ask all them stupid questions to at 3 o'clock in the morning. And he was right. I did. I had finally found a way to spill out all of that stuff out of my brain, but get input back. That was the problem. The problem was at 3 o'clock in the morning, Kieran was like, this isn't happening, go to sleep. You know, whereas I was like, oh, I've got an idea. And usually when that happens in our house, I mean, something's getting wrecked. But it allowed me to kind of spill out all of that energy at a time that suited me, not at a time that suited my staff. It's a great training resource. We use it quite a bit. And what's interesting is every time I use it, I learn something new, because the way that we're using it is it's teaching us how to do things as we do them. It's teaching us different concepts, or sometimes it might even pop up a framework that I've never heard before. Next minute I'm down a rabbit hole, I'm learning about this theoretical framework. I'm probably going to throw it out the window and use my own version, but at the same time I am learning every time I use it. And for many people, it's the colleague that you just don't have. You know that moment when you shout across the room and you're like, here, what is it when na na na, and you're like trying to bounce something off. It can be hard when you don't have that. I actually speak to Charlie like he's a person, and I do like have really conversational tone with him as well. Sometimes it's a cup of coffee you didn't get, you know, the way when you're a bit sluggish, just like, can't think. It gets you off the starting blocks. I've worked out that Charlie and other AI models are capable of breaking up my creative block. So when I get that, and I get it quite bad, when you've got ADHD, you get executive dysfunction, but I find that it will break it up really, really quickly. And it's the jump start that you needed. Sometimes when you're staring at that blank page, the hardest thing to do is those first sentences or whatever it is that you're creating. But it simply cannot be you. And the most important part of any generative AI is what you do with the results. And that's the important part. So it should naturally be a part of your entrepreneurial toolkit. I am going to whiz through a lot of slides here, but there's a QR code at the end so that you can have them. So Google and AI, I'm not going to dwell on this. There was lots of conversations about whether or not Google is going to de-rank you and all of that. Basically, in a nutshell, Google says if your content demonstrates EAT, which is experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness, it is unlikely to be de-ranked or whatever. What it's saying is that we have been dealing with crap content for a very long time, long before people were throwing it into ChatGPT and Claude and Perplexity and all of the other ones. And Google is going, we kind of know what we're doing. So if it's good quality content, we'll probably rank it. And again, you know, it's, as they're saying, it's not a new challenge. So don't let marketers like me or web developers or SEO people or anyone like that tell you that you shouldn't use it. It's probably just because they don't want you to do it yourself. You know, and if you can do it yourself, I would rather people looked at their content and looked at some of these more, I suppose, the minutia of what your business is easier coming from your brain. And when you pump it in and you pump it in right, and we're going to teach you how to do that, it's amazing. So in your marketing journey, it must be integrated into your toolkit, and you've got to really think about how can it give you a fresh perspective. The future of marketing has got AI in it. You cannot get away from that. It's not about keeping up, it's about leading the way. Please do use it as a brainstorming tool. That is probably the one key thing that I use it for on a daily basis. I've already talked about creative block. Personalization in marketing, it really helps with this. It's one of the things that it has taught me is to really take more notice of customer personas. And that's a really interesting place for me to be, because I worked on a lot of assumptions up until then. Tendering, applications and funding, my God, it is amazing. I'm not going to take you through all of these. I'm just going to show you some examples. But we got 100% qualitative score on a tender recently that Alex worked on using AI as a support tool. Now, we've taken our tendering down from 25 hours to an average of 12 hours. And it is absolutely amazing if you get it right. So here's some of the tools. ChatGPT and DALL-E, we know that it's content and photos. This is one of the images that I had created. Midjourney and Gemini, again, content and imagery. Gemini is really, really good for like searching through your emails and sorting out what's going on in an email chain and stuff like that. So do try and look at those. otter. If you're not ottering every single meeting that you're ever at, your head's a Marley, as my granda used to say. Seriously though, this is amazing. This has revolutionized how we do meetings with clients. All of that brainstorm and all of that wonderful kind of stuff that you do back and forward, we now have it charted. So it's not dependent on my ability to note take. It's now here right in front of us. And then we can pump it into ChatGPT and we can say, can you give me a summary of that? Or what was the main things that I promised I would do? Or what was the main ideas? We have created our own GPT for news article writing for events, and it was a test because that's one of the things that our platform is going to do. So you can always jump on there and take a look at those. Prezo and Mixo, I have not used them, but colleagues have, and they really like them for presentations and website builder. The website builder, I would suggest, is probably like for a one-off event or something like that. 60-second site, again, is the same. Zapier, if you're one of those geeks who love automation, oh my goodness, it's amazing. But it has lots and lots of new designs and things in it. For video, Lumen 5 and Synthesia. Lumen 5 I've been using for many, many years, and it is a really great tool. Again, we have a videographer in the business, so we're not using these maybe as much as other people. Board of Innovation, I absolutely love. It's brilliant for planning, strategic stuff, all of that. Wizard, I haven't used, but a friend of mine said it's like it designs user interfaces, and she really loves it. So those are some of the tools that we have used. There are others that we're still testing and we're still trying to figure out. But this is the thing that I would suggest you download the slides for. This is our framework. This is how we prompt. And it's probably going to look really, really detailed to you. But when you get the slides, you'll be able to go through it. So every prompt that we do has to have a who, a how, an objective, a style, the special considerations, expectations, and background. So see that, like, can you write me 10 posts about coffee? That goes out the window. So the who, you want the specific knowledge, the job title and role, and the unique abilities. And that might look like something like this. Be a creative director from the fashion industry, skilled in and trend forecasting and brand storytelling. So you can see you're starting to really build out who it is. And there's lots of examples there. The how, so what do you want? Do you want bullet points? Do you want an essay? How do you want it actually formulated for you? And again, you might say, break down the information by X, Y, and Z. And the objective is that purpose and goal. What is the one thing you're trying to accomplish? Really think about what you're going in there for, because I have one client and she loves Charlie, but then she spends like an entire weekend surrounded in bits of paper because she's got herself overwhelmed. So do be careful about that. So create a social media campaign to boost product awareness, grow the following. So do you see how we're being very specific about the purpose of it? What do we want it to do? And then your tone and style. So when it comes to language and tone, you really need to get this right for your business. And I always use a 3-word approach. So professional, authoritative, informed. Maybe it's calm, soothing, gentle. But that gives the AI model a better inclination of the kind of language it's going to use. Your special considerations could be if you need to abide by FCA guidelines, or if there's some cultural guidelines that you want to particularly take into consideration. That's where you can put those in. And again, there's lots of examples there. Your anticipated outcomes, what do you want it to deliver to you? We've already told us sort of what our objective is, but what do we want delivered? And it might be generate an email for our loyalty program, etc., etc. This is the most important thing that you will ever do with AI, and that's called feeding the beast. Feeding the beast must always come first. I always put a prompt in that says something along the lines of, I'm going to give you lots of background. I'm going to start every prompt with the word background in capital letters. When I do this, I don't want you to do anything. Just let me know you're ready for another prompt. And then I copy and paste and attach documents, and I literally feed the beast in the same way that I would feed a staff member who is just about to start working on a new project. Throw it all in there. And at that point, once you've given it all the information, then it can start being a lot more specific about you, your business, the product, the brand, whatever it is that you're working on. This, if you do nothing from today, please feed the beast before you ask it anything. And then don't forget to ask questions. You can say, this is what I'm trying to achieve. What do you need from me? You can actually say to it, like, tell me what you need and I will go get it for you. And you can ask lots of things. One of the questions I always say is, can you add anything else to this? And I do that 2-3 times sometimes, because what you find is you might find a few crazy ideas in there. And that's where I like to live. I like to live in the crazy ideas. So I always say, can you add anything more to this? Real world examples, when you get a copy of the slides, you'll be able to see these. This is my son using it to create quotes for a keyring that he designed. There's tendering, this is a document that it's like a Northern Ireland Assembly document. I was like, there's no way I'm reading 42 pages. So I got it to summarise. But then what I did was I said, can you read this as a lobbyist? Can you read this as a journalist? Can you read this as the chief executive of the charity? I probably read a lot more than 42 pages, but what I was able to do was compartmentalize how I was reading it along the way, and it was amazing. So there's lots and lots of examples here, using transcripts to extract information. I want you to act like a political aid. I want you to help me write a professional biog for a client. There's so many uses for it that's way over and above your marketing. This is improving a tender submission. We actually get it to score our tenders as well and tell us what we've missed, which is a really good way of using it. We have won a case in small claims court and they tried to appeal it, and I wanted to find out what the legal issues were around that, so it told me all of it. So protect your data though. I always say this to a lot of like engineering technology companies. Don't put anything in there that you wouldn't say to somebody one-to-one. That's what I would always say. And also, something weird happened recently. Somebody told me that on a training for AI, they were told that they could feed it and that it would tell other people that their business was brilliant. If you've been told that, that's nonsense, right? There seems to be a trainer somewhere in Northern Ireland telling people that they can feed the AI and that the AI will tell people that they're the best coffee shop in the whole world. That's not possible. But do please protect your own data. And your employer's data. Don't be putting a lot of information in there that you wouldn't allow staff or, maybe other people to look at. You've got to do a risk assessment. If you're using it within your team, you need to make sure that you have some really good guidelines of how they can use it, what they can use it for, what your ethical standards are in terms of using it. Like for ours, we're very transparent. My staff are not allowed to use it without the client knowing. Most of our clients know. I train in it. It's a bit obvious we use it. But some businesses won't be so sort of transparent, obviously. So I would say, think about what your ethical considerations are. You may not ever want anybody to know that you use it, and that's okay. You don't have to tell people that you use it. What I'm saying is you have to have those standards for the people who work for you so that they know that what the parameters are that they're allowed to work within. It's not optional. Embracing this is not optional. If you do not get on the train, you will be left at the station. And it's the same with every technological revolution that there is. We are currently entering Industry 5.0, and half of us haven't even got our heads around Industry 4.0. But the good thing about Industry 5.0 is that what it's saying is, in Industry 4.0, we want you to automate. We want you to really get to grips with all of those emerging technologies. 5.0 is going, right, we need humans here. We need some check-in. We need some balances. We need to make sure that we are merging the human and the technology. And I am so excited about that, because what that means is all of that fear that we've got around AI can just disappear. And finally, ChatGPT 4.0 is better. Just pay the £20. It's worth it. It might be a little bit more than £20, I don't know. But really, it is worth it if you're going to be using it a lot. So especially in content and copywriting, it's not going to replace you. It's not coming for your job. But the people who can use it are. The employees who are going in and supercharging their productivity using AI and doing it well with quality, they are the people that you need to be worried about, not the robots. So really do think about, how is this going to change your entire landscape of your industry? And again, please do connect with us on all of our brands. If you've got some news stories, some exciting stuff happening, we do have a conference coming up. I'm not allowed to plug, so I didn't plug it. But here's I will leave these on screen for a wee while, but this is the one you want for the slides. This is me on LinkedIn. So happy to do questions. after all that.
What do you think's coming next in terms of AI? What's the sort of stuff that you'd love to see?
What would I love to say? I think what I'd like to see, and it's quite controversial, is I want to see AI being used and taught in educational settings. I use it with my son. My son has dyslexia, and I'm very, very passionate about teaching our children about the emerging technologies that will be part of their lives. I think at the moment, our educational systems are still afraid of AI. I think there are teachers out there that could reduce significantly the trauma that they have in everything that they do by using it and being taught how to use it properly. I think if we can get it into our education system, if we can get those young people coming through using it naturally, the same way as they're using social media or whatever else naturally, I think we're going to see really big changes. I know there's lots of conversation about, how sentient it's going to be and whether it's going to, I don't know, take over the world and press the big nuke button and all of that kind of stuff. I'm genuinely not a bit afraid of that. I mean, if somebody came along and told me that they could implant AI in my head and I could see it like on the movies, I'd be like, yeah, stick it in there. But I am a real embracer of that kind of stuff. And so for me, I'm really excited about how it's going to be used in everyday life, not just in the workplace. So I think that we have a big shift for that. But I mean, my son took a photo of the living room a few weeks ago, put it into ChatGPT and asked for a list of what he needed to clean, because we normally give him a list. He's got dyslexia and awaiting an autism assessment, and we hadn't given him a list. And so he asked Charlie, and Charlie gave him a list, and the room got tidied, done. And I just thought that was a really exciting thing for him to do, because that was him thinking, how can this help me? Not, he's not afraid of it at all. He's always asking it random questions. I dread to think what his chat history's like. Anyone else? No?
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
That was a lot of the practical stuff in there was brilliant, by the way. Thank you.
No worries.
My question is really bit specific. You mentioned Excalibur, GPT. Did you build your own little
So we
kind
use
of a chatbot inside
of ChatGPT. So in ChatGPT, there's a thing called GPTs where you can train code. I don't really know what the right description is, but you can basically give it all the prompting information so that it holds it in its memory. And then when somebody, on ours, it'll say, copy and paste every bit of information you have about your event, and then it'll just turn it into an article. But what it'll do is it'll follow those prompts that we've already trained into it, and it'll be things like, I want you to act like a mainstream UK journalist. I want you to write in UK English. There's lots of different things that we've put in there, but anyone can go in and create those. So if there's certain things that you do on a regular basis, I would suggest that you create a GPT to stop you having to go, have to type all this out again. And you can make them private or public. We've just made ours public.
And you can use it to help staff, not control them, but make sure it's safe. The way they use it, can you know how they prompt or follow stuff?
No, I don't think you can, but we do have an AI policy and a best practice guidelines. And then we do sort of regular training and things like that. We actually had a conversation the other day about a particular member of staff who's a little bit behind on the training, and we're going to do some new training over the next few weeks. I think that it's one of those things where the more open you are, the easier it is to talk to people and say, oh, did you use Charlie for that? If, should we maybe look at your chat to see how you could refine that? And that it's taken that fear away from the staff, because I think there's a lot of staff out there who are secretly using it and they're not letting on. But what's happening is they're using it badly, and then the checks and balances aren't happening. We know that if something gets done, with Charlie's support, that we have to have an extra eye, and anything like that always comes through myself or Alex. Whereas if a journalist was just going ahead and writing it, we could probably let it go to the client without us looking at it. But because there's that extra layer of AI, we always ask for a senior member of staff to have reviewed it. It's just little things like that you can do to make it easier. But the first thing is about taking away that fear and that secretive usage. I think it's the most important thing. Brilliant. Any other questions?
Yeah, go ahead.
I have two. One, did AI write that PowerPoint?
No, I don't find myself.
It was very well done though. And two, so you can use AI obviously to like create a lot of like prompts and writing, but in the end term, if you're presenting that in like a networking event or a PowerPoint, you'd have to proof check it anyway. So you'd have to familiarize yourself with the content and the theming of what you're doing. Is that not just like half the battle of writing it yourself?
Exactly. It's just reducing your time. So the whole thing is that people think it's going to do it for you. All it's going to do is present you the information in a much more streamlined manner so that you can then adopt and use it as you need. And I think that's where there's been a misconception that we can just get it to do stuff and then we don't have to do stuff. But actually, the stuff that we have to do is the bit that makes the presentation awesome. Like I did do a presentation a few weeks ago, and I would say 60% of the informative slides, in other words, in fact, I've just remembered, see the examples? I didn't write any of the examples. Charlie wrote the examples. Just remembered that. But the informative slides, the ones that I sort of put on there as training when people download the slides, they were all written, but I had to go through it in fine detail because some of it, the language just wasn't right. Some of it was just a little bit off. And sometimes I don't agree with it, so I have to change it. And so it's really, really, that's where the important part is that human interaction. And that's certainly where we're going with Industry 5.0. Okay, thank you all so much. Again, if you need to come up, and we'll leave this on the screen for a wee bit.